How's it going, people? Today I'm going to be talking about Jojo Rabbit on Blu-ray and 4K. And without any other further ado, let's get straight into the movie itself. This movie was one that I was actually looking forward to see just because of the fact that I feel like it is very curious, very interesting subject matter. And then it was directed by Thor Ragnarok's Taika Waititi. I really did love that movie, and it made me go back and see his other films, like Hunt for the Wilder People. And I just like the guy's body of work. So here, you have a subject matter that can be very temperamental. It can be offensive to some people, but I feel like this is actually a very important movie while being more lighthearted. By falling in love with a young Jewish girl, this child has to question his morals and what he thought of what was important in life, and that adds to a manifestation of Hitler, who is played by Taika Waititi, and it is excellent. I feel like this movie is just a great coming of age for this character and this child. And I feel like it really forces him to see things in a more mature light and question things rather than just doing what he's told. And I just really like the message in this movie. I do feel like we need to question things rather than just follow the rules. And you know what? This movie is just very pleasing and one of the best movies of the year. And I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. And getting into the video quality, starting off with the Blu-ray. This Blu-ray looks about how you would expect it to look. This movie was shot digitally, but it has an added layer of artificial film grain that is meant to just give an aged look, like the movie is supposed to be aged. And right off the top, I can say that this isn't going to have the most dimension as other releases, specifically of this year. I feel like this is more of a flat presentation because of the just the way that this film has been shot and processed. It just has a very flat and almost pretty soft look to it. There are sharpness in the outlines of characters, specifically in close-ups, but a lot of the scenery does come across pretty soft. And when you're talking about detail, a lot of the period pieces like this film, you got to look at the costume design and really see a lot of details in the costumes. And you can definitely tell a lot of the fibers and just a lot of the stitching that is in the costume design. You can see a lot of detail through. And then in landscapes, a lot of this takes place outdoors in the woods, and you can see a lot of detail when you're coming into the woods, as far as just leaves on the ground or tree bark or a lot of that kind of stuff, a lot of scenery. This is a very natural looking film, and it is a good one. Black levels are done perfectly. They don't dip to gray, and you know what, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10 actually. And getting into the 4K presentation here, this was actually given a 2K digital intermediate, so this is actually upscaled to 4K. And it is more of a consistent looking film. I would say that the sharpness stays more consistent, and you get just a bit more sharpness in a lot of the scenery. And you get a little bit more dimension as well. And basically what that means is the softness here has been decreased. I feel like the artificial film grain here has actually shown up a little more, but that just adds to the feel that this film wants to portray. And when you are talking about the detail here, there is quite a bit of detail with, like I said, a lot of the clothing and the stitching on the clothing, little buttons, stitches, and a lot of that kind of stuff, patches, they show up excellently here. And when you're talking about HDR, well, then you got to talk about the fact that this movie isn't really set up to be just an HDR showcase. It's not really. And what that means is that you aren't going to need your sunglasses for this one. This isn't going to be blinding light. But what it is going to give you is just a more refined, more natural looking presentation here. And does that mean that sometimes it looks darker than the Blu-ray? Yes. That's pretty much what it comes down to. But what you get in return is grass that looks a lot more greener and more saturated and more striking. And you have skin tones that feel more natural and don't blend in with the background so much. And you just have a sky that is more darker blue than a lot of the light blue sky that was in the Blu-ray. And this is just a more refined version of that Blu-ray. And that is why I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. And getting into the audio here, this whether you watch this on Blu-ray or 4K, you get the same DTS HD 5.1 mix. That is fine. I do wish that we got a Dolby Atmos mix, even though this movie doesn't actually call for an Atmos mix. Speaker separation is what you would expect it to be. I feel like characters move left to right to center, and their dialogue and vocals move along with them. Surrounds can be light at times, but they are definitely noticeable. And bass response really only takes place with the score of the film, which does kick in from time to time, and dialogue is always crystal clear. I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. And getting into the digital copy here, this is a Movies Anywhere digital copy, which means that you can download the 4K copy on iTunes and on Vudu. And with the special features here, not even the audio commentary is available on the 4K disc. All of it is just on the Blu-ray disc. That is unfortunate. The audio commentary is pretty good. And then you just get 1 half-an-hour featurette with the making of the film and some interviews. There are some theatrical trailers and deleted scenes as well. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 10. And getting into my last looks at Jojo Rabbit, this movie is delightful and just really inspiring. I do love it. And even though this movie definitely has a context, you can take the message of this movie out of this context and just apply it into your own life and just say, we all need to question things that we were taught when we were younger. And to grow up, we definitely do need to question those things. And that is something that we can all learn and have a happier life, to be quite honest with you. And I just really like the message of this movie. And I don't feel like it is one that has been hammered home to me in film 90 times, which is refreshing. And as for my scores here, on Blu-ray you get a 27 out of 40, and on 4K you get a 28 out of 40. That is because of the fact that I feel like the 4K transfer is just a little bit more stable than the Blu-ray transfer is. If you like this movie, you will enjoy it in 4K. You'll get everything that you hope to get, unless you were hoping for a Dolby Atmos mix, because it isn't on there. And next week, I do have to review Knives Out, and along with that, I do have a very special review for you guys that I've been actually looking forward to review for quite some time since I heard about it, and that will be a surprise. So if you are excited about that, and if you have any ideas about things that you want me to review, comment down below, let me know. And as always, thank you for watching my videos. You guys are awesome. I don't even say it because you know it. And I will see all of you next time.